So what I've got here on the bench is an Apple II Plus motherboard. I've never actually used an Apple or owned one before. This came to me as a parts machine, non-working. I spent a little bit of time looking at it and discovered, if I can find a good example here. Oh, I need something white so this will show up. This device, you can see the pins are just black. It's pin rot, highly corroded. A number of the pins on the system look like this. So I'm going to go through and remove every device off the board. And I'm going to sort out the stuff that just needs to be thrown away, such as that 7474. There's a 741 op amp. That's a pretty common device. You know, like this 251, the pins are just starting to go. I'll probably hold on to it. Of course, there are parts that I definitely want to hold on to out of here. So really, it's just kind of work my way through. That's a 74-138. Pins are black. Just goes down here. That's a 556, it looks like. And the pins on it look really shiny and good. But I'm going to go ahead and sort it out. I plan to pull all the chips out across the board here, assuming I can get them all to come out. And the question becomes, how bad is the corrosion down in the sockets? These pins are okay, they're not terribly shiny. I don't know what this device is, a DP830. That's 259. Pins in reasonably good shape. Another highly corroded part. Looks like it's a 74 LS138. Again, that jelly bean part. And yet another highly corroded device, another 74 138. The ROMs here are a bit troublesome. Ooh, don't want to bend the pins, which are bent on here. So there's one of the ROMs, I believe. These I actually need to, I think, mark. Some of them have Apple part numbers on them, some don't, and I'm not sure why that would be. This is D0. And of course that color's not going to show up blue on blue. Oh, the bench is such a mess. I can never find what I'm looking for. You know, there's some other color Sharpies floating around here. At least they're supposed to be. There's a green one that should show up. So this is D0. D8. E0, and this is an AMD manufactured device, and I believe the leads under that one are horrifically horrible. E8, F0, and one more piece of tape. F8, so this is F8, F0, E8, E0, and D8. And partially why I wanted this board was these ROMs. They're A little hard to find loose. I found a couple of websites that sell them. That one looks okay. I'm not having any luck. That one looks okay. Have I got a... Wondering if my 24 pin dip puller is laying over here or not. It's not. Well, we'll just keep being somewhat careful here. Pin rot on this device is really bad. Again, I don't know if you can see it. If we get focus, I believe that's an AMD labeled part. No, it's actually a GI part. Those are pretty bad. This one doesn't want to come out of the socket. There may be a fair amount of corrosion up under there. Those pins actually aren't bad. This one is from my initial playing with the system, just to see if it had any signs of life. When I removed this device from the socket, 3 of the leads just broke off, and that's why it's in this solder tail socket. It was pieces of wrap wire pushed into the pins and soldered to the leads. The pins on this were just horrifically bad, just completely black, and all it takes is one pin not making contact onto the bus for the whole thing to fall apart. And that one's not bad, so I've actually got one device with really bad pins in the ROMs. Those look decent. Cannot read the part number on it. There's so much. Of course, it come out of, it's an 1897, so it's a bus buffer. I've got some actual 1897s, at least I should still have in my stock. Back when I was doing serious S100 work, they were common. Not bad. Horribly black. I'm sure it's just a stock 74LS138. It's another throwaway. He's not bad. The goal here is going to be to hopefully replace all the devices I can. Those are kind of middle and bad. I'd like to see this motherboard work. Those aren't too bad. Let's see, I will work my way through out of my fresh stock and stuff as much as I can. It's not bad. The 5-volt supply is a little bit low on the board. I want to take a look inside of that switching power supply, see if there's an adjustment. It may just be caps or failing out. Of course, those are all RAMs, and they're mixed brands. Some are plastic packages, some are ceramic. He's not too bad. He's not too bad. Oops, bent a bunch of pins. Really horribly. Shoot. Really didn't want to do that. He kind of flipped up out of there. The pins are nice and clean, so maybe I'm not going to find as many bad devices as I thought I was going to. We went through the same process on the UART cassette card from my H8, where just loads and loads of devices with pin rot. Oh, I can see down here lots of devices with pin rot. I don't know what environment this guy has set in. It seems to be worse down on this part of the board. Oh, horrible. Horribly black. Again, maybe that'll come into focus. I don't know. The little bit of shiny metal you see is where I pulled it out of the socket. Now it may be that we're getting a good gas light connection in the socket, and those are actually making an okay connection, but my experience is I just threw it in the wrong bucket, didn't I? That guy right there. It's just all kind of jelly bean TTL logic. I am working on a static dissipative surface. Talked about it before, the blue pad. So the board is horrible. Is at least ESD safe here. Horrible. Horrible. Acceptable. Oh, that's a set of RAM chips, and I can see the leads on it do not look good. Horrible. Acceptable. So all it takes is one bad connection. The system won't run. I don't know what this little 8-pin dip here is. Don't know a lot about the Apple II architecture. It's another 555. Years ago, I bought an Apple I, one of those blank motherboards you find on eBay, and actually took a lot of time to get it stuffed and have a functional Apple I clone, which is fun to show off. He's a throwaway. Another throwaway. Looks okay. I don't really know what causes some devices to corrode up like this and others not to. Of course, the keyboard connector. That one looks okay. That one looks okay. Got a device here, which is, boy, the leads didn't even clean up sliding out. They're just black and corroded. And there's yet another 555. Wozniak liked his 555s. So, we've got a device I missed over here. Those look okay. Of course, we've got the processor there and ROM special. I think that's actually the character generator, though I could be wrong. Let's see if I have any chance of walking him up out of there. Luckily his leads look okay. I do have extra 6502s in my stock. But I'm going to go ahead and pop him up out of there. He may well be a pool, looking at the leads, or maybe it's just kind of thick solder dip on him. Now I've got the more specialized parts here, the potentially recoverable TTL here. This many devices came out of the board with just severe pin rot. That one actually doesn't look, not sure why I sorted that into that bin. Actually, they're turning black. A lot of these are just horrible. Any one or combination of those would be enough to keep the system from running. I'm kind of unhappy with all of these kind of mismatched RAMs, and it looks to me like, oh yeah, 4116 pin rot. I should have a bunch of 4116s in my stock. But yeah, having this lower K bank of RAM be bad would certainly be enough. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. These are all one manufacturer. They're all TI. That's got to be a 4116 there as well. He's interesting. He looks like he was a pull, and a couple of the leads have been broken off a little shorter. I think I'm going to call that a no good part as well. Boy, he really doesn't want to. Very long leads on this guy. He's a ceramic 4116, 200 nanosecond. I will hold on to that one. Case on this Apple II Plus is acceptable. It definitely needs a lot of work. Now this always concerns me, and I don't know how well this will show up, but if you look closely at the top of that device, hopefully you can see where it's been painted over and remarked. I don't know if that shows up there or not. That can be a sign of a whole lot of things. From it was originally a 300 nanosecond part, and somebody tested it and said it's good enough for 200 and relabeled it. It is labeled a Motorola device. I guess it's possible. Motorola rebadged it. It's got an 8024 date code. I don't know if you can see the difference between the painted over one and the not here, but that concerns me. I don't really like that. We run into that occasionally, like ordering from UT Source, although I've had really good luck with UT Source. People complain that they get rebadged parts. You know, UT Source has a lot of pulls, which is fine. You just got to be careful. hoping I've got enough 4116s that I can have 3 full match sets on here. Here's another one with black paint on it, and it's been re-labeled. It has got an Apple logo on it. I just noticed that. So maybe Apple re-branded it. That's interesting. There's a little Apple logo down here in the corner. I'm not quite sure what that means. These leads are awesome. They're all rather dull. Well, that's got all the logic and memory and ROMs and everything off the board. I'm kind of looking down into the pins and the sockets. It's like I can see how dark some of these are. Going to have to get in here with a better light and just kind of look down at each one and see how much corrosion's been left behind. I mean, there's pins in this socket that are just black. So I will probably pull these sockets that look dark down inside and replace them. These kind of closed frame sockets like this, it's kind of hard to see the pins down inside, but I can go through this visually. You know, this one, and this one are dark. That's dark. I don't know whether I can just use some deoxit and recover these. Maybe. But yeah, places where I know I pulled really dark leads have left really dark messes down inside. Whether that's due to different metals in the socket and the pin, perhaps. I just don't know. I've not researched what causes that. The edge connectors here are a little dark, but you know, the gold in this one, of course, it's had a card in this one the whole time. There's a language card that's been sitting in here for a long time, and so it's kind of kept that clean. These others will clean up with a little bit of alcohol and a bit of work. Those should come back nice and shiny. This card's got 5290 national parts. That's really interesting. Like I've mentioned before, 300 nanosecond, 5290s. I don't remember what size those are. I worked at National from 80 to 94. I don't see obvious pin rot on any of those. Well, see if I can get you a good view of the card here. Hopefully this is focusing, although it's probably kind of dark because I don't have a lot of light down below the camera. This entire bank of 4116s, the leads are just black, and I'm just going to throw these away. I'm not even going to try to salvage them. I'm not sure. Oh, that's got the clipped lead on it. Yeah, I'll hold on to it. I probably won't use it. But there's 7 just horribly corrupted 4116s. So this is what we've pulled that are definitely throwaways. Spent some time cleaning this board up. You know, visually looking at the back of the board, it actually looks good. The soldering looks good. It's still nice and shiny. I'm sure it was wave soldered. You know, there's just nothing that stands out here as there's been water or something underneath. Little bits of spots where the silk screen's kind of starting to come off. With some work, the front of the board will look just as nice, I think. It's just a matter of elbow grease, and a toothbrush, in time. A little bit of hot snot under that crystal. Keep it from, as Dave from the EEV blog would say, flapping around in the breeze. There is a bit of hot snot, like I say, keeping that in place. And there are actually some resistors and the capacitor up underneath the crystal. Still just kind of doing a deep visual. The motherboard did beep when it was powered up. I don't know if that's normal, even if it's not running or not, just a sign that's saying, you know, one of the 555s is coming up. Motherboard's from 79 here. I did look us up. It's an 820-0044-01, so it's in what the documentation I read called the RFI series. So it's a later generation. Well, this was like the first generation RFI, which I believe included things like the extra color modes, that kind of stuff. Anyhow, I just thought I'd shoot video of me popping chips, and there'll be an update at some point when I've made progress. We'll talk soon.